singing a lot, you know, being appraised by so many people around the globe?
I don't know. It's at the moment it's kind of takes a lot of energy at least, but it's fun. You know, we have a great audience, so we have a lot of fun every weekend. But it's a very hard. You know, this is festival season, and it's much harder than ordinary touring, because when you're touring on a tour bus, you can just go to sleep in the tour bus and wake up in the next town the other day. But this time around, it's wake up and see a new airport every morning, and that wears you a little bit down. But we're not as young as we used to be either.
Okay, can I ask you something? And I want you to be honest about it. Do you ever get tired? And when you do, because the answer is yes, I know that you do get tired. You're a human being, unless you're a superhero, okay? But when you get tired, what is your way out?
It's I follow you on Instagram, and you do a lot of working out. It's basically running and working out and trying to get enough sleep. You know, it's no. We really have to be in shape to do this.
Are you fighting for that 6-pack or 12-pack? Where are we? Which is the status?
No, I don't care about that. I'm going for a 70s 70s body.
Okay, so, you know what?
No, not into that kind of stuff. I'm into more like long distance running and stuff like that, and I'm not into body toning or anything. You know, I'm Northern Norwegian. We don't
glutes and stuff like that.
I guess we're waiting for Sivert Høyem. I don't know. It was supposed to be the two or three of us. You know?
Yes, but we're doing it together for the time being.
Yeah, right.
When they join. So, how many shows have you booked for this summer?
Oh yeah, it's 35 in total. So it's
35.
Yeah, it's a crazy summer. So I don't know where the empathy at the booking division of Madrugada is, but it's so no. It's this weekend. It'll be traveling from Northern Norway Thursday morning, and it'll be like a 15 and a half hour flight down to Iași in Romania. Mm-hmm. It's a small city on the border to Moldova, so it's a quite long flight, and then we continue on to your beautiful Greece on Saturday.
On the 25th.
Huh?
On the 25th.
Yes.
I'm gonna be there. That's why I know.
Yeah, fantastic. Come and say hello afterwards.
I will. Although I think there are going to be, millions of people there. Everyone loves you here in Greece. You know why? Because you have visited Greece so many times that I consider you to be, half Norwegian, half Greek. You're Greek, basically. I mean, you should apply for a nationality, a Greek one.
I would love to have that passport.
Okay, you know what? It's easy. I mean, we have so many fans. We can make things easier for you.
Yeah.
For that passport.
That sounds
great.
So,
you know what I want to ask you, amongst other things, that you started this journey, as a group, Madrugada, and you were young and years passed by. I'm not going to imply that you're old now. I'm just going to say that it's a process that you have observed each other, you have seen each other, you have been through so many phases along the way, because that's life, and you're still together. And I just want you to tell me, what have you observed in these years? In your colleagues, I mean, your partners in crime with the Madrugada.
Yeah.
And
obviously, it's something about the way we work together. In the beginning, there was a lot of egos. There's a lot of striving to get your song idea through, a lot of quarreling in the rehearsal space, a lot of tension. Sometimes we weren't that kind to each other. That has to be said. And sometimes it we weren't that good friends as you were supposed to be sometimes. And but what I've discovered when we got together again, people has. Oh, okay. Sivert is trying to log on here.
Sivert is trying to log in.
Yeah. But what I realized when we took this initiative to reform the band in 2018, it was a quite different mood, and people have families. Had to sort of like deal with, with other people in another way. And when we got together, I think everybody were longing to get this second chance of sort of like being nice to each other and to sort of like get back the camaraderie we had initially in the formative years 20 something years ago. So I think it was really important for everybody to embrace the camaraderie and the friendship. And so the 2019 tour was a dream. It was the best tour we ever played in. It was a great. It was so easy to go out on tour together because everybody was so aware of the fact that we needed to behave behave nicely to each other. So it wasn't decided that we were supposed to record another album, but since the mood was joyous, it was everybody wanted the tour to go on. So what to do then? Then we had to go to the studio too. We couldn't sort of like prolong the touring of the celebration of the first album.
No,
great.
the man has a voice.
Oh my God.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Where are you?
I'm at home. This is where I live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like your home? Is it nice there?
I love my home. Yeah. Yeah. My home is very. It's where all the rock and roll millions go die these days.
Especially that the new part of his house is.
Yeah, this is the new
nice.
part of the house. It's like a. Yeah.
It's a little.
Another living room, and it's very nice here.
It reminds me a little bit of Provence or Greece. It's a terracotta kind of vibe there. So it's.
Yeah. So,
I love it, you guys. The terracotta. I mean, wow. It's very specific.
Yeah.
You know what? You have made your house, although although you're standing inside, it's like you're outside because of the glass, which is amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
It's
so,
really, yeah.
I was telling Jon that, you have visited Greece so many times, and in my mind, and not only in my mind, but in every Greek's mind, you are considered to be Greek now. I mean, you should apply for the nationality. You should have a Greek passport. It's time.
Yeah, don't we need to speak Greek? I have this app, the Duolingo app. I'm gonna go on a crash course to just learn a little bit of Greek.
Sivert, you know what? In your case, we'll make an exception. You can sing, and it can be, in English. We don't mind if you don't speak Greek. It's fine with us.
Yeah, that's a deal. That's a deal then. Yeah. No, I wouldn't mind actually. I'd love to spend more time in Greece.
I think it's time that you should buy a house, all of you guys.
Yeah.
It should be very tiring. Moving back and forth.
Trude has a house in Hydra actually. He's there already.
Okay, and what about you guys? I think it's time to make this investment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going after we're done in Athens. I'm taking my family on vacation in Crete. We have a place that we go to there every year almost actually, or just a couple of years now. We've been going there. So, what
do you love about Crete? Apart from the amazing food, the amazing beaches, the amazing people. Okay, I think I said it all, but what do you love in Crete?
Yeah. I love this is in Western Crete, and I really love the mountains, actually. The white mountains in Western Crete. I went hiking there many years ago. I cracked my head on a rock.
Oh,
it was like,
really?
Yeah, it was horrible. It was in one of the ravines, and it was just like boiling hot. And I cracked my head like really hard on the rock, and it was like blood everywhere. And I had to sit down and feel sorry for myself for about an hour until I could keep walking. Yeah.
Okay. And then everything was fine. You know, the sun came out
Everything
again.
was fine. I got down to the beach and people looked at me kind of funny, but it was, I don't know, one of those vacations that you have when you're kind of single in the rock and roll business. It's called like a jogging vacation. You know?
Okay.
Just get away and just spend time alone and do physical things and kind of punish yourself a little bit, and you come home just feeling more miserable than you were when you went there. So these days I don't have to do that, but.
I mean, you know what? Putting yourself some obstacles in this life just shows that, you know, you like challenges. Maybe we should see it in that way. You know, it's not misery. It's like you love challenges.
Yeah, I also like being alone. This is taking a very weird turn. This interview.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I was about to say it, but you know, you said it first, so
yeah,
it's fine.
no, I'm sorry about that.
I'm just joking. I was asking John and I was telling him that, you know what? I think that people, you know, not I think, people get tired. And you guys, you know, you tour for so many years. You live a very intense life. And what is your way out? What do you do to decompress?
Well, I think getting a little bit of age, it's important to keep yourself in shape. It's the way we get energy, I guess. Sivert's doing a lot of stretching and yoga, and I'm running a lot. That's key. And you know, this summer is very, very hard. We will play 35 shows, and we're traveling to and fro Norway. I'm traveling to and fro northern Norway, so it's a lot of traveling. So I guess it's really important to try to stay in shape.
Yeah.
Get enough sleep. That the last thing might be hard sometimes because you get out so early to get to take a flight. You know, it's flying almost every day, so in and out of airports really struggle some way of touring as opposed to going on a month tour on a tour bus, which is easy.
Sivert?
Yeah, I try to do some kind of workout every day, like John mentioned, yoga, or I go to the gym, or I run a little, and I try to drink every day as well. So yeah, kind of even it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to do that as well. So.
Do you ever guys say that, you know what, we're tired of interviews? We don't want to give any more interviews. We're tired of being asked the same things and saying the same things.
I used to feel that way. I used to be very sort of like guarded when it came to interviews, but I guess I've changed a little bit. I've become older. I don't mind it now. I kind of enjoy it actually. And I guess, yeah, some of it comes with age, just relaxing a little bit more. And also the culture has become a little bit more open. You know, back in the day, it used to be like an act, you know, like you were guarding your image, you were guarding your sort of, you know, what do these people think about whatever, you know, but it doesn't matter now, you know, we're all gonna, me and John, we're gonna be dead in like 20 years anyway, you know.
So give as many interviews as possible. You know, get it out there.
Yeah, I mean, the culture is a lot more open, you know, it's a lot more sort of just people are sharing things, you know, quite personal things. And I think that's kind of good, you know. It's it certainly makes this sort of interview situation more interesting and more sort of like who cares, you know, really.
I'm kind of like a people's person. I like to do the interview part. I've never minded that actually. It was a little bit harder back in the days because then we sort of like we're a little bit controlling what we said, and it was a lot like, oh, this is how we're going to be in interviews. Now it's more like we are more ourselves. Feels more relaxed. Not that much self-control within the group.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's true.
Have you ever been cornered in an interview or, you know, felt bad with someone who made an improper question or cornered you in one way or another?
Yeah, I did a lot of, I remember around the time when Robert passed away and also my dad passed away that same year, and I remember doing a lot of interviews for the album I made after that, and a lot of those interviews were like very sort of up close and personal, sort of like I just felt there was a lot of like just digging in stuff that, you know, was really kind of a personal grief, personal sorrow that should have been you should have been left to sort of deal with that yourself and not deal
How
with
did
it
you
in
protect
public,
yourself?
You know?
How did you set boundaries to the journalists?
I wasn't really at the time, you know. It was a very sort of chaotic time, really, you know. Felt quite lonely as well, but yeah, that's the only time I can sort of. I mean, it's back in the day with Norwegian journalists, especially. It was this really confrontational attitude, like they were out to like take you down, you know. So this very childish attitude from journalists, like very sort of hostile in a way. Like we can't help it. We just make music, you know. There's nothing sort of suspect about what we've done, you know. And that was the feeling I always got in Norway. It was like this. This can't be for real, you know. And I just think that's kind of bullshit, because it's music comes from the heart. If you feel compelled to do it, and that's a beautiful thing, you know.
And also this kind of like trying to corner us into being some kind of stereotypical figures, dark, melancholic, depressed people of the North. I never felt like very comfortable with that, because that was not the truth, you know.
Yeah. It was just a suitable description for the press. And I want to ask you, why do you believe that journalists and people, you know, now on the social media are so vulgar with their questions and their comments and their need to become so close with strangers? Although in your case, those strangers are music symbols in the music industry, okay? But still, why do you believe that this vulgarity has been stretched so much and people cannot discern that, you know, the difference, that I don't know them. I don't know them. They're musicians. They're not my friends. I cannot ask these things.
Okay. Yeah. I don't really feel that that I'm being sort of I don't really feel that so much myself. I feel sort of
not for you, in general, about people who are popular, who are symbols in any industry.
Yeah, I guess the whole social media thing has sort of corrupted the whole thing with fame a lot, you know, and the big stars are being very personal and in social media and just sort of projecting their life out there 24/7, and I guess it's the result of that is like everybody else gonna feel like it's their fucking, they can do whatever they want with that now.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah. I suppose it's like that. You know, it's a double-edged sword, this whole thing that we talked about with the culture being more open. You know, it goes both ways. And
yeah, it's something about the nature of TikTok, or you have to tell a story within 10 seconds, and hence showing what you had for breakfast is something that is like useful for that media, and you never get to the bottom of the essence of who you are. So it's something about, you have 10 to 15 seconds to tell a story, hence it becomes in essence very shallow. So it's a problem with this express media that social media is, you know. It's yeah, you will never be able to tell a proper story, will you?
Okay, so listen, from the shallow surface of the social media, I'm going to go into the real depths of the Madrugada people, okay? And I'm going to ask, okay, let me go into depth now. I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked John before he joined us, that, I mean, you are a social experiment, and I'm saying this in the best way possible, because you people began and you were younger and you are still together and years passed by, because that's life, what we were telling before. And You have been together through so many phases. You have matured. You have created your own families. And it's a trip, I mean, through observation. You have observed all this from the inside. And I want to ask you both, what are your highlights from these observations? From then to now.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, I can try and start. Yeah, well, I feel that, as I said when we were in interviews back in the days, there was this kind of mutual self-control in the group. We tried to sort of like be each other's bosses, and it was sometimes kind of confrontational, and everybody were more egocentrical in the way we worked. It was a lot of tension in the rehearsal space, and I'd say that was back then when we reformed the group. I think that everybody was really keen on getting this second chance in terms of this time. It was important for all of us to be kind, gentle, and like gentlemen with each other, and that really was a great transition for me to witness the way we had come of age in terms of collaborating. So it was a much smoother operation. So going on tour in 2019 was really easy. It was friends, really proper friends that really were looking out for each other on the road. So it was a great transition to see, and I think the mood is great, and the camaraderie is great.
Okay.
I don't
Sir?
really have anything to add to what Jon said. I think that's the most important thing, this sort of maturity and just losing this sort of inner insecurity that was always there. You know, I guess it's what kind of can happen with, especially with guys. I guess you get this sort of hard reality. Like, it wasn't really like the way all of us were. It was just like the way it's sort of we blended. Like it wasn't really, I don't think any of us like meant to be inconsiderate like we were sometimes, but it's just sort of the way it turned out. And it was a competitive sort of environment as well. Like people wanted to
Not
like,
sort of, absolutely and totally.
Yeah.
And of course,
I guess you get that in that sort of environment as well. It's kind of unavoidable, and it's really benefited us to get a little bit of mileage and, you know, get our lives together outside the group, and also have this time away from it and all the tragedy with Robert, and just kind of get back together and actually appreciate it a little bit more. Because it was a grind sometimes when back in the day, and now it's like you step away from it and it's like wow, it's a big band and people like it, you know. so that's cool, you know.
But you know, back in the days, it was a lot of there was a lot of pressure, you know, from the outside world, and we were really young people, and of course, then that pressure is something that you we didn't know really how to deal with that. So then it went in different directions, and sometimes we were confrontational with each other because you had a lot of, you know, weight on our shoulders, expectations from the record companies and throughout Europe. So it was it was hard for young guys, just a couple of 22 years old or whatever we were, you know. It was
it's hard sometimes to put your finger on what it is, you know. Like you said, the pressure. Like none of us were talking about, hey, there's a lot of pressure now, let's try to be a little bit cool with each other, you know. It's just like the way it was, like, well, we're having success or whatever, and we didn't really we never really pointed that out, you know, because that's a major point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But we weren't like, it was the infancy really of the music industry in Norway, and it's so much more professional these days, and really? It was like, oh my God,
sometimes even we felt we were the adults in the room. Still, we were just 22 years old. It was just like, oh, come on, let's party.
Yeah.
The
golden was the solution to everything, you know, from the grown-ups.
Seriously?
Oh yeah, fucking hell yeah. Let's get these people some beer and some other stuff. You know, so yeah, I mean, it's so much has happened now with the mentality now. Like these new acts now, it's like you had to sort of back when we came when with Industrial Silence, and you just had to sort of earn everything. You know, you were touring and building it up the sort of the old way, and the whole infrastructure really wasn't there yet. You know, now these sort of new acts that come now, they're like everything is sort of, there's a whole big industry, and there's also a whole sort of different mindset about performance and the psychology of the whole thing and staying fit, and so they don't make many albums until they play arenas, you know. Like it took us a long time to get there. So
see, I went into real depth, and now I'm gonna go deeper, and I'm gonna ask you this, gentleman. Yes, I'm gonna do that because I can. And I'm gonna say that you have observed yourselves, okay, but you have observed the world. I mean, you have been in so many countries, you have met, and you know, you have felt so many cultures. And I want to ask you, from the day you began till today, what's one thing or two that you have observed in the people changing, in the world changing, their attitude after the pandemic or after the war in Ukraine? I mean, or the social media, you know, wave and technology. How have people changed through your eyes, through music, which is something that unites nations, unites the world?
Yeah. There's one thing, like a major change that has happened in my eyes, and I guess it's like everyone knows that, like we've been living through this like really golden period in time, you know, between the when the Berlin, like the fall of the Iron Curtain, and up to, I guess, the pandemic, up to things started getting really complicated in the States with, you know, all this Trump nonsense and stuff. Then things started feeling a little bit weird around 2016, I suppose. And but that's been like those years between there, when we did a lot of our touring, has been like really sort of golden. And yeah, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a sort of, in the West, a more sort of stable time, really. And that's, you know, around 2000, that's when we started touring, and there was a lot of that optimism, great optimism, and that's gone now. That's there's like definitely a darkness that's crept into the culture, and sort of a pessimism about about technology, about where we're going. You know, it's any of the structures, are they going to survive this, even democracy, you know, stuff like this.
Yeah,
that's a major thing.
Traveling to Poland last year, just after Russia invaded Ukraine, you know, and there was both the aftermath of the pandemic. People were still wearing masks, and you know, they people didn't know really how to behave in concerts at the moment. But it was just going to Poland, knowing that it just 200 kilometers away from here, there's a war going on in the middle of Europe, and that insecurity, sensing the aftermath of the pandemic with people, that insecurity that gave to people, and the way it affected economy and so forth, and then the war in Ukraine, definitely a very special feeling being in Poland last spring. It was felt like a quite different world, and it was really hard to be optimistic about things, to be honest.
Okay, and now a personal question. I'm not being nosy. You'll see what the question is. You'll hear it. Were there any, you know, times and phases in your life where you felt like losing hope? it could be something that happened on a global scale. That's why I'm saying it is a personal question, but it's not. It's a social question as well. For example, the war in Ukraine, you know, we were all devastated and still are because the war is continuing, you know, 2 years after. And it's something devastating on a global scale. So it's personal and social. Were there any times in your lives that you felt like losing hope? And what did you do?
I had a very strong feeling. I remember around the second Iraq war when that happened, because it was so obvious that was wrong, what was happening, and they went and did it anyway. It's a huge tragedy for the people of that country, and so that was a feeling like some of these people in power, they're whatever they want to do, they're going to do it anyway, and even if it's like wrong and we don't support it. So that was one of those incidents where I kind of sort of lost faith.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that we traveled. The band is a good example. We had a great year 2019, and we went to the States and recorded our album, and suddenly. And over there, they were not taking the pandemic really seriously, because it was Trump who was running the country. So, but anyway, going from that highlight of my life and into that depression of the pandemic, with trying to finish the record up, we really had to flee the United States with the last flight out of US on the 13th of March 2020. So going from that, you know, very successful tour in 2019 and into this abyss of darkness, that was like, yeah, it was so insecure. Going from everything to nothing. So that was really depressive, I'd say. And it took a long time before we were able to go back. And of course, we lost a bit of momentum in that period. Of course, it's a little bit selfish, but I guess every artist would have felt the same way. It was not that cool.
It's not selfish, because something happens and you see it through your eyes and through the world's eyes. You know, every coin has, you know, two sides.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you now, to change a bit the subject and the mood, I want to ask you, basically, I want to tell you this, that we usually know about the success story of a person's life. And we usually say, oh my God, you're so successful. Talk to me about your milestones. But no one says about the epic failure moments. Those moments that you were like, shit, what am I going to do now? You know, everything's going to disappear. Everything's going to melt down and fall. Which were those moments in your lives? The epic fail moments.
There's been some with this band. I'm not really sure if there was like an epic fail. Like, we've been sort of free falling in this band at some times, you know, around 2001, around the second album. We did kind of really fail on following up that first album, and it was a very chaotic tour. I remember it was pretty epic how bad we were on the main stage at Roskilde. It was like the biggest concert by far, by 10 times bigger than anything we'd done before, like a major chance. If we had been the band we were back on the road in 2000, we would have crushed it on that stage. But
I think we would have needed some adult people in the record business standing by our side. When we were supposed to release the second album, we didn't get that artist and repertoire responsible kind of help at all. So it was a really hard period and a very chaotic period, and yeah. The Roskilde thing was a very strange weekend. We even went to Greece but luckily the the Rockaway Festival was affected by storm, so we didn't have to play.
We were actually happy about not playing.
Happy about it. We hired my brother as a bass player, and we didn't have time to rehearse with him, so it wasn't really well planned.
Okay, it was a storm, and you passed it with flying colors. We're here now, so everything's fine.
I remember we were getting drunk with Nick Hill and the Bad Seeds, and Marky Smith from The Fall. He was running wild with a knife in the hotel receptions. It was kind of a very very strange vibe that night.
Yeah, he was gonna stab someone. It was, and he barricaded himself in the room and started throwing furniture down into the garden. It was just a horrible kind of Titanic moment there.
Titanic moment. It was just
See, it was an epic fail moment.
To us, that summer was quite dark. Yeah,
it was dark.
Okay, and now I want us to discuss about your guilty pleasures, things you like doing, things you indulge in. Is it a burger? Is it a TV show, a reality show? Is it a song that you listen to repeatedly, like Britney Spears while taking a shower? I don't know. Any guilty pleasures?
Oh my God. I don't really have. If it's a pleasure, you shouldn't feel too guilty. You're not hurting anyone. I really enjoy listening to Sting. Is that and I kind of do it. You're not supposed to say that as a rock artist. I don't really with music. I don't really have any guilty pleasures. Really, I really like melodic sort of like, and it's fucking great. So I grew up listening to that stuff, and I still put it on in my kitchen when I make Italian food. So yeah. Other than that, I don't know. I eat anything I want to eat really because I work out, so that's fine. I can't really say. I do spend a little bit too much time playing the kids' video games now and then, which is yeah.
But this mutual self-control is over now. We can do whatever we want, and nobody cares. So I can play some Toto if I want to. That's okay, even backstage.
Probably gets a bit grumpy when the music profile is a bit too free. It doesn't like that.
It doesn't like it. It gives me a lot of a hard time. It's you just listen to all of pop music from the UK. I wouldn't say it's guilty pleasure. It's good music, but it's a bit poppy for him, I think. But that's okay.
Is there any artist right now or any song that you like hear repeatedly on Spotify or any other platform?
No, nothing that nothing. I don't think there's anything that I would feel bad about listening to.
No, not bad. Guilty pleasure, it's in quotations.
I backstage now that I play for the guys, the Decemberists, and a song called Sucker's Prayer, which is nice.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm listening a lot to Humble Pie. But I don't feel bad about that.
You shouldn't.
No.
So that's because I haven't really listened to them at all before. It's one of those bands that sort of passed me by. I'm gonna actually start listening actively to a band that we're gonna share a stage with later this summer. We're gonna play with Deep Purple, and that's one of the major bands that I haven't really listened a lot to. I can probably name you 5 songs, but I don't even think I can do that really.
I've even done quite a few Deep Purple covers in my former covers band, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Have you seen anything recently on Netflix or HBO, series, movies that you enjoyed?
Yeah, what was that? What was it?
I started watching.
I really love the Last of Us. The Last of Us.
The Last of Us, of course, I've seen it. It's amazing.
Yeah. It was really, really, really amazing. I love that.
Yeah. So I agree.
Yeah.
I started watching this Arnold Schwarzenegger thing. Yes,
I didn't like it. I know.
it was okay, but it was just as expected, I think.
I think, John, I think he actually.
You
is
said it
like
perfectly.
that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more to it. Like, that's the story they're telling. Like, his ambition, he has a goal. He's like this sort of really, really like supercharged version of like following the American dream.
Yeah, of course.
And that's all it is. And I remembered I was watching that because I like ages ago I watched that movie Pumping Iron, and it's so funny, that movie. And you get this sort of, you kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger after that, because he's really funny in that movie, and it's really vicious, and it's kind of, he has this. He's a special character in that movie.
I like him, but you know, this funny war between him and Sylvester Stallone. Okay, he killed 15. I'm gonna kill 30. They're just like 5-year-old kids, and you know, they're kind of like two-dimensional people. No, that multi-layered. It's very, very kind of easy.
Arnold Schwarzenegger now in his new, series is a father. And Sivert, I want to ask you something about your kids. What have your children taught you?
Nothing really. I mean, they're not very sophisticated people, are they?
What have you learned from them, from the kids? How have they changed you?
I mean, there is a sense of love that like really
Transcends everything.
Yeah, it does, and it grounds you, like, and everybody would say that, but I mean, it's really, to me, it's like very, very important. And it's one, like we were talking about the stuff that you sort of do to get away from the grind of your sort of career, or whatever we should call what we're doing, but like just being at home with the kids, and just being with them, and just feeling like these little warm people, you know. It's it's been so important to me to just have that in my life, and I never imagined it would be this transforming, but it really has been. Because I don't like other people's kids. Like, I'm not very. I haven't been like a big kids person before in my life. But now when I see like some of the guys in the band have like younger kids that are now the age that my kids used to be, you know, that super cute kind of 3, 4, 5 years old. When you see them, is like, oh God, you know. So
yeah. The other day, yeah. Like Frode's Edward the other day, he was backstage, and I saw that Sivert was really melting. Curly hair,
it reminds you of sort of a magical time with the kids, your own kids, and So, I guess that's that. I don't know if it's like really learning something, but I mean, that's like they haven't like actively taught me anything. But I mean, you do get with kids, you have to like actively sort of you do have to sort of be more sort of aware of your life and how you are as a person, and so.
Okay, so one last question, because it's been 48 minutes, you know, and thank you very much for your time. But it's, you know, it's a really nice conversation. I want to ask you both, have you got any plans for yourselves apart from this musical path, apart from the musical career? Like, where do you imagine yourselves in the future doing something else? Have you ever imagined that? Is there a plan B?
Into politics, like. So
okay.
I'm going to be the governor of Oslo.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, governor.
Yeah, so that's my big goal now. Like, no, I don't deal in that sort of thing. I just live my life kind of intuitively, and for better or for worse, it just ends up the way it ends up. And I've done okay so far.
Okay.
Well, Yes,
You're thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm in a very transitional kind of mode at the moment. So I'm at anything can happen in my life at the moment. So I will spend the summer just figuring out what to do.
Okay, gentlemen, you know what? Thank you very much for your precious time. Really, it was an honor, you know, talking to you again. I love you guys. I'm gonna be there on the 25th, of course.
Oh, great. See you there.
See you
when
there.
you come to Greece. Yeah, so you know what? Keep the good work, stay strong, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Daphne.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Τελείες, 3 τελείες στο μόρ. Αντώνη, έλα λίγο εσύ, γιατί στις 3 τελείες δεν έχει αυτό που μου πες.
Δεν πιστεύω να έπρεπε να πατήσουμε stop recording πριν κλείσουν.
Όχι,
Και ότι χάθηκαν.
μάλλον σταμάτησε.
Α, όχι, γιατί γράφει ακόμα, ρε. 50 και 51.
Ωραία.
Αχ, τρελάθηκα.